Welcome to the podcast. This is Big Reptile Talk. Today we got Dorset Pythons in the building today, man. How you doing today, brother?
Hi, Derek. I'm doing really well, thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Man, I'm excited. You a heavy hitter out there with Gab. You doing incredible stuff, man. So talk to me about that name, man. Just Dorset Pythons. Where'd you come up with
Yeah.
that?
Dorset is where I live. It's a county. I think in the UK, a county is different to what a county is in the States. It's more like a small version of a state, really. Like a county has its own police force and that kind of thing. So Dorset is the county I live in. And I love it here, and it's got loads of reptiles. I mean, we're one of the few places that has all the kind of reptiles you can get in the UK, the native ones. There's lots of reptile people here, which is probably why I kind of got into the snakes and things. When I moved here as a kid, there was a big public aquarium near here, and the upstairs bit was all reptiles, and I used to go there with my parents, and there were lots of people that worked there that were into reptiles, and they had like a club, and I just got into that, and I met people, and there's a kind of a good community of reptile people here in Dorset, so that was definitely instrumental in me getting into the reptiles in such a big way. So
Right. Well, you gravitated towards the ball pythons. Why did you pick that snake specifically to start breeding?
Well, I mean, I've been keeping reptiles since the 80s, and I've tended to sort of work with like, I did chameleons for years, and then geckos and stuff like that. And I kind of, probably getting on for 10 years ago, I started, I mean, I was always aware of the ball pythons, and even sort of back around 2000 when the pieds were really being bred, and I saw them, and I was really excited by them. At the time, I had a lot of Australian pythons, because that was, if you wanted to keep something that was really spectacular, that was where it was at back then. And I just kind of kept an eye on the ball pythons, and then I suppose a few years ago, I just thought, I'm gonna dip my toe in here, and I just picked up, a few snakes, and then, as you probably know, and as your listeners know, it snowballs from there,
Yeah, it
So
definitely did snowball, man. You're doing your thing, man. Now,
yeah.
what's your current favorite morph right now?
Well, I mean, I think pieds is what I work with, and it's probably what I'm known for. Um, and especially I've hatched a lot of dreamsicles the last couple of years, and I like that project a lot. Working with some xanthic pieds this year, and super OD pieds and things like that. So yeah, pieds is my thing, I think, really.
Yeah, you can't go
Yeah.
wrong with pies.
No.
Now, with you being a heavy hitter in the breeder game, I gotta get you in the hot seat. Who's your current favorite breeder right now?
Well, I think like everybody, I mean, everybody watches Justin and Ozzy. I mean, Ozzy has such good stock, I mean, he's, what he has, he can just produce just crazy stuff with what he has. And, Justin really dictates a lot of the market, I think. Yeah, I like those two guys, like everybody.
Well, definitely Ozzy and Kabelka, two legends in the game. Now,
Yeah.
with
I
you,
like
with
Marcus
you.
Jane as well. Sorry.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
I
no,
like I
Marcus
like
James is good.
yeah, Mark Mandic. I like his vibe, he just does I kind of get the feeling he does his own thing. He's just happy. He's not trying to, it's not like he's not in the arms race like a lot of other people are, trying to keep up with stuff, or, he's just, that's where I'd like to be, I think.
Marcus James is definitely doing some incredible stuff. I had him on the show a couple weeks ago. I love his lightning. He does the lightning pods, and they look excellent.
Yeah, I've got some of those. Yeah.
I bet you do over there. All them snakes you got now. Now, give us some tips that you use to reduce slugs.
Um, Temperature. I mean, I really think you get slugs. You know, I mean, I do a drop in the winter. I drop the temperatures down to about 76 at night, and then it's 80 in the day. You know, my hotspots are about 88. And I think that slugs, you know, are really temperature related. I mean, and generally I don't get many slugs, but if I do, it's really kind of the male. I think, you know, if you have a male that's not really doing the job properly, then you can get slugs too. So,
Right.
or you know, you don't get him in at the right time. But a lot of people that I see with a lot of slugs, and it seems to be a problem for them, I'd say maybe it's too warm, you know. I mean, I have friends that say that's, you know, they don't agree with that, but you know, that's what I found. When I first started, my first season, I only had two females, and I had the room, you know, it was really hot, and you know, and I think I got all slugs from one, and three slugs and three fertile eggs from the other one, and you know, and I just thought, oh, it's just too hot in here, you know. And so I think people keep things too hot generally.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of breeders that want to follow in your footsteps because you're doing some incredible stuff. So, we're gonna get some knowledge from you. Can you give us, talk to me like I'm a new breeder and it's my first year of breeding. What's a good clutch goal for a first year breeder?
Um, what do you mean? Like, what would you do to get a good clutch?
No, no, like what do you think is a good number, like a good amount of clutches for a new breeder in their first year?
Oh, I mean, it really depends. You know, I mean, I think if you know, if you what's depends what scale you're doing at. I mean, if it's a hobby and you've got, you know, 10 females and, you know, two or three males, you know, if you had, I mean, I was talking to Gab about this, but really depends how good your males are. But you know, if you had 10 females and you were getting, you know, 6, 7 clutches, I mean, I'd be happy with that. You know, Gav says he
Okay.
he wants 9 clutches out of those 10 females, but I'd take the 6 or 7 myself. But you know, I mean, you can do it. I've had projects where I've had a really good male, like a big male, like 1,800 grams, and I've put into 10 females, and they've all laid good clutches for me. Um, you know, and that's I don't use an ultrasound at the moment, so that's just getting them in there. You know, so you can do it. You can get 100% on a project with your females if you've got a good male, I think.
Right, right,
But
right.
I mean,
Now,
you know, it really depends how invested you are. I mean, you know, how many females you buy. You know, you buy 20 females, and you know, 2, 3 years later they're all up to size. Then you know, I mean, I wouldn't be happy if I was getting 30% of those females laying. You know, I'd strike for sort of 65%. I think, you know, is a respectable number.
right, right, right.
Yeah.
Now,
Uh,
with you being a breeder too, we want to know, do you think successful breeders need to breed their own rats, or do you think you could still be a successful breeder and be buying rats elsewhere?
I don't breed my own rats, so I think, yeah, you can be. And I think if you look at Billy, I think Billy at Mutation Creation, I think he buys his rats in. Um, I mean, I think it's more expensive to buy them in. Um, and I think if I had the space more than the time, I would probably breed my own. Um, for me, I mean, I still work. I have a full time. Well, it's not full. I work part time now, but for me, I have, you know, a fairly good job. So it's probably makes more sense for me to go to work, get paid, and then buy the rats than spend a day, a week, or you know, whatever, cleaning the rats out. So um, plus, I have a really good friend who's got a huge rat farm, so That's Mike at Rattle Snacks. So you know, I just
Good
go
plug, nice plug.
Yeah. So yeah, he's got about 10,000 rats over there, you know. So yeah, so he always helps me out. So yeah, I'm good. But I mean, I think when you've got your babies and that kind of thing, it would be good to have you know, even a small colony on hand, you know, just for that kind of thing. So and obviously you can control what you're doing with them and that kind of thing. So I'd like to, but at the moment, you know, maybe in 2 or 3 years' time, if I scale back my day job more, then I would probably look at doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
How many would you know, not talking clutches, how many animals is in your current collection right now?
I think it's, I mean, including babies that have hatched this year, it's probably about 200.
200?
So
Okay.
I think probably about 120 that are either breeders or holdbacks at the, you
Okay.
know, the current time. Yeah. So
Now
not
is that,
huge.
you know, is that like just the stuff that is that including your personal collection too, or that's just everything you got in general?
Yeah, everything. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know that's
Yeah, I
right.
mean, the thing with the UK is, I mean, the big difference I would say is that real estate is very expensive here. So most people in the UK are working out of a bedroom, or you know, some kind of, you know, like a building, you know, in their garden or something like that. So um, you know, if I think about the biggest breeders in the UK, they're still operating, you know, in a fairly kind of small scale. You know, it's not, I mean, it's, you know, it's difficult to get that balance where you can scale things up so you get into a stage where, you know, okay, I'm now gonna get somewhere. And I mean, most people don't want to do that. You know, most people want to have the snakes near where they're living. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to go to a sort of an industrial unit somewhere and have the snakes, because I like to come out here in the morning, at night, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and
So
check it whenever you want to.
yeah. So I mean, you know, as I say, it's just land is expensive in the UK, houses are expensive. So to have somewhere big enough to have a big building in your garden, you know, like maybe like Justin's got, um, it would be, you know, it's definitely a limiting factor, I'd say, for UK breeders. So people tend to work from home, really.
Right.
I mean, but Ozzy does that as well, doesn't he? I mean, he's got, you know, he works out of his cellar. And I think, you know, the idea for me is to have maybe, you know, 60, 70 really nice females. You know, I mean, that's, if I've got that and they're all working for me, then that's good enough, you know.
Right. Now, I got another hot seat question for you. No, and you can
Yeah.
ask me the same question if you want to, but I gotta ask you, man. So, who do you think the Brian Barczyk of the UK is right now?
I mean, Gav is a celebrity, isn't he? You know, I mean, everybody knows Gav, and you know, he's earned that. You know, he's been doing those videos. I mean, when I first kind of dipped my toe in, you know, quite, you know, a few years ago now, I watched Gav's videos. You know, he is very well known. There's another guy who is well known. He's got a really good collection, a nice facility. That's Paul Milner. Um, yeah, I mean, I'd say really those are the two people that are producing content, you know, so like YouTube content, which are known basically. Yeah, I don't. I mean, in Europe, in you know, over in mainland Europe or Europe now, there are some big operations, and you know, I'm sure that there are other people in the UK with really big operations too, but they don't do the YouTube. they kind of know. I don't really do Facebook, but people I know that do Facebook, they are more connected with those people. So yeah, I'd say Gav and Paul Milner.
Mr. Christian, you got to say you. Like if somebody say, Derek, who is the Brian Barczyk of podcast? I'm gonna say me. I'm the best. You got to think you the best, and if you know what I'm saying, that way projects outward. You're gonna say, who's the Brian Barczyk of the Reptile? Me. I am.
Yeah. I'm a modest guy, Derek. I don't seek the the limelight.
I love that. I love that.
I'm happy just doing my thing. And I mean, I like Instagram. My Instagram account has a lot of traffic. I mean, I average a lot of likes. This year I've been a bit slack, but last year, I was doing 1,500 likes per post average, which is more than, some of those really big names. And I like doing it. I like showing the snakes off. So I'm quite competitive, I suppose, with the Instagram. I like that. But, and I have thought about doing YouTube. And maybe I will, but not kind of, more just to show the snakes off, really.
Right. I can understand that. Now, you said you've been breeding for quite a while. How do you think breeding back when you first started was versus it is now? Do you think it's evolved? How has it gotten better? And what do you like about it? That's versus then now.
I mean, I was thinking about this today. It was, I mean, even if I go back to 2014, 2015, it was completely different to me in my mind, because you could not buy those really good snakes. If you wanted something, you had to make it. And I think that's really the kind of mindset I still have. But no one would sell you something that was really good, And I mean, I used to look at when I first started, I looked at Justin's stuff a lot, and on what he was selling, and he didn't really start even letting go of things like visual clowns till then, really, those kind of times. He was selling hets and things like that, and now if you come in and you want to invest a lot of money, then you can be producing world-class stuff the following year, really, can't you? Which I have no problem with that. I think anyone that does that kind of thing drives the market. I've always said that. A few years ago there was that young lad that spent a lot of money with Justin, and people really ripped into him on social media, and I just thought, well, it's confidence, isn't it? Confidence in the market. If you can come in and you want to do that and spend money, people like Miguel really do a lot of stuff. I mean, people like me and anyone really in the UK, we sell snakes because of things that Gav does, and Miguel and these other people. They are. And so I should really kind of do more myself to, but I do my Instagram stuff, but yeah, that's the main difference. I mean, when I started, I loved the pieds. I've said this before, that I really loved the kind of yellow belly pieds. That was like a really new thing back then. Hardly any Justin had made some, and that kind of thing, and I thought, but you couldn't buy any anywhere. The first year I started looking, so you had to buy a yellow belly and a pied and make hats and things. So, and that is like 6-7 years ago. Now you can buy anything, can't you? You can buy super OD pieds, and I sometimes think, if I had, if I won the lottery, that kind of thing, and would I still enjoy it? If I could just go out and buy stuff. I quite like the long game, making my own stuff.
Right.
It's good, but that's the main difference. I mean, the UK market, probably the same as the States, has just gone crazy the last 18 months since COVID and lockdown. And, I see a lot of people coming in, whereas it was always a kind of a hobby for people. And that kind of kept the prices down. Whereas in the States, it was more of a business and people would like, okay, I'm going to spend that because I'm going to get it back. In the UK, it was much more of a hobby thing. And people would kind of limit themselves what they were going to spend. But, I have a good friend and he is the shipping agent for Justin in the UK. So, I mean, that's 3 or 4 shipments a year of high-end snakes coming in from Justin and Aussie. A lot of snakes, and that's the UK market. People are buying those snakes, spending the money, which is great. And obviously, because of Brexit, it's a double-edged sword, really. I mean, we are now quite a closed market. A lot of people used to get stuff from Europe. Now that is much more tricky, much more expensive. There's lots of paperwork. Whereas you used to be able to just go to one of the shows in Germany and buy some great snakes and just drive back with them, not really needing any kind of, paperwork really. So it was an open market. So now you can't do that, which is really a shame, because I used to love doing that. But what is in the UK to a certain extent is really what is here. So it's really helped the UK market. People are buying stuff and, you can sell stuff. There's a lot of interest.
Right.
Yeah, what was that? I forgot what the question was.
That was cool. You answered it. I loved it.
I mean, I'm just saying that, the UK market is really buoyant now,
right.
You put stuff on Morph Market and it sells straight away. So, and I think a few years ago, there were a lot more. If I put something on Morph Market a few years ago, I'd probably get 6 or 7 people messaging me, tire kickers. And then, you'd eventually you'd sell it. Whereas now people are more serious. They just message you, I want it, and it's gone, So,
right.
So I think we are really catching up a bit with the US.
Right. Now, you mentioned you were thinking about getting on YouTube. If you ever do, I'm gonna give you an idea. The first video, you gotta message Gab and be like, look, let's have a selling competition. If you can outsell me, I'll buy you a steak. And if I can outsell you, you gotta buy me some lobster. I think that'd be fun to see.
Okay, we'll do that.
Now, tell me, like, what do you think the difference is, with breeding versus the UK and the US? Do you feel like y'all are a little behind? Do you feel like we're a little behind y'all? What's the difference? Are we pretty much the same?
No, I think the US is ahead, definitely. I mean, you've got a lot more people, and I think, like I said, it's been a business out there for a lot longer. And so, we, like I say, the people I know, that if they want something really special, they're going to Justin or Aussie, or, Billy and those kind of people. And, those they're bringing those snakes in, like I say, a big shipment comes from the States every sort of 3 months. So 4 times a year. So I think the States is ahead. I think we were lucky because if you look at a country like Germany, the Germans just, if they do something, they're going to do it right. That's their thing. So there's always been, and Holland as well is a really good spot for reptiles, and and so there are people over there that have really good stuff, and I know that Americans buy stuff from those kind of people, and we did as well. But yeah, I think we're kind of, because of that influx of those high-end US snakes and things. I mean, all my snakes that I started with, I got from Justin. That's pretty much, anything I had, maybe apart from a few hets and things, but anything that was decent, it was easier for me to look at Justin's list, message him, buy a snake, maximum I'd have to wait, maybe sort of 2 or 3 months. Snake arrives, pick it up. I'm not going. I don't. I didn't have to go to shows, anything like that. There aren't really many shows in the UK, and the ones that are, it's they have really kind of strange rules about selling, so it's difficult, So there's really just one show that happens 3 times a year, I think it is. So yeah, so I think we're behind, but we'll be producing some nice stuff too as well, I think.
Right. I think y'all are. Y'all got some amazing stuff. Because I watch all y'all Instagrams. I'm like, okay, they got some good stuff out there, man. Now, talking
Yeah.
about Instagram, man, like, how does that make you feel that you have over 20,000 people watching what you got going on?
Yeah, it's good. I like it. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. I started Instagram, and you kind of I can remember getting to those first 50 followers, and it took about, I don't know, less than a year to get to 1,000. But what happened then is the next 1,000 was half that time, and then the next 1,000 was half that time again, until when you're posting regularly like I was, you get on a roll and you're picking up 1,000 every month. So that's where you want to be. I mean, if you stick at it and you post regularly, you will build that momentum.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I like it. I think I was the first to hit 20k in the UK, and like I say, I get a lot of traffic, a lot of likes and things, and it's really humbling actually. The thing I like is that when I started, I used to follow people all over the world, not necessarily ball python keepers, like people in Australia and stuff like that, and that I really looked up to. And now I see that they follow me, and they like my posts and things like that. And if you look at who's liked your stuff, might be Miguel, Mark Mandic and things like that, Aussie occasionally, and yeah, that's so cool, isn't it? That's really humbling that that those people follow you and they like your stuff.
Right. It
And I
is.
mean,
It is.
yeah, I like taking the photos. I like this room is pretty bright, and I mean that's my number one tip if you want to do well on Instagram, is to get some good lighting in your room, and just take good photos, and they'll do well.
Right. Now, we here because we definitely want to talk snakes, and I appreciate you for joining me. But tell the people that's listening, what's the best way to get a hold of you for snakes? Like, how do you sell your snakes? Or the best way through Instagram, Morph Market? How do you like to do your snake sales?
Well, I put stuff on Morph Market, but a lot of the stuff I sell because people message me. I like to hang on to stuff. I typically will hatch stuff and I'll just keep it and I'll just feed it and I'll just see how it develops. And I might not sell stuff for a year. So I'm not advertising that. And then people message me and they'll say, if you got this, through Instagram, and I might say, yeah, I have got that, and I'll sell it, but, some of them they're holdbacks, but, I do put stuff on Morph Market, but, every so often I'll just put, half a dozen snakes on there and they sell. But, I'm not, that's not my main focus. My main focus is making good stuff, and
Right.
I don't mind hanging on to it for a bit. And yeah, I should probably sell more things, but yeah.
Now, you know, to me, ball python more so like the stock market. The prices go up one year, they down one year, and I say that to say, what do you think is some of the morphs that we should kind of stay away from right now?
Pastel and spider. No. I mean, I like, that some stuff does really well with pastel. I mean, which, I mean, I do some, pastel super gravels, and they look insane. And, when they grow, they don't brown out, and pastel highways and things are beautiful, and they age really well. But unfortunately, people are a bit down on pastel at the moment, and yeah, I'd stay away from spider too. But I mean, it depends. I think you can't go wrong if you're getting, you got some recessives in there. You people that have a collection that's just based on codarms are limiting themselves, really. So I would say, try and work some recessives in there.
Right. Now,
Yeah.
a lot of you bigger breeders are known for y'all custom morphs. Like Ozzy has the Orange Dream. Kabelka did the Batman. What morph do you want Dorset Pythons to be known for?
Well, I would like to just be known for really high quality pieds. And I think my mentality is that, I mean, I look at koi, koi carp, like koi breeders in Japan, and they will work with one or a few types of koi. So the kind of color, that they all have different names, they all have different sort of color schemes, and they just spend a long time, years and years, just trying to perfect those and make the best one. And that is my kind of mentality, really. I mean, if I just had a lot of, say, OD pieds, and I was just working to make the best one, and with the best color and the best pattern, then that is what I'd be happy being known for.
Right.
Just making some really killer pieds, and just always improving the quality of them. Because I think people think, oh, I made an OD pied, I've done that, I'll tick that off the list. But there's a different mentality, isn't there, to think, right, I'm going to try and make them better each year, and that's kind of that's what interests me.
Right. Just focusing on picking that one that you want to focus on and just becoming a master of it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That makes sense. That definitely makes sense. Now, I got another hot seat question for you. When
Okay.
Mr. Christian comes to the States, after COVID is all gone and we can hit that plane, don't got to worry about getting sick. When you make that visit to the States, what
Yeah.
facility are you visiting first? Whether it's Ozzy's facility, Kabelka's facility, the Reptarium, Nerd, what facility are you going to first? What's your first stop?
I think Justin. Yeah. I mean, before COVID hit, me and a few other friends, we were going to go to Justin's. I'm lucky because my good friend, he's good friends with Justin, and there was an invitation there. So that was on the cards. But I mean, I don't know if Ozzy has visitors that often, but I'd love to see what he's got. I'd love to head over to the West Coast, see some of the people over there.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great to go and see Brian at the Reptarian. That looks like an amazing place. Yeah.
Oh, brother, you supposed to say I'm coming to Diggs Reptiles podcast too, man. What's going on, brother?
I'm definitely gonna come and see my friend Derek. Yeah, definitely.
That's love. That's love. Now, with you, you being such an amazing breeder, I want to know: is there a custom, not necessarily custom, but is there a morph that you're currently working on trying to hit right now, specifically that you're currently targeting right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got these. I'm trying to work with the lightning pied, the axanthic pied, and I'm trying to. I mean, again, that is your basic lightning pied, your Marcus Jane line. They look great, they look amazing. But I mean, I've got trying to get some OD into that, some GHI. I'm trying to do a clown pied, lightning as well. Made some triple hets this year. So yeah, over the next kind of 2 or 3 years, I'd really like to see what I can do with that project. So, you know, which I don't think anyone else is doing in the UK. I don't think there's many of those. I mean, there are some, but not a huge amount. So
Right.
yeah, I
Man,
mean,
you know Zan,
sorry.
you know Zantic. That's my favorite morph. I love that white and black.
Yeah. I mean, they are crazy. I mean, I know that you know JP in Canada.
Hmm.
Um, he does lots of social media, and he does lots of. I don't know. A year ago, he did a poll, and he put 2 snakes on his story on Instagram, and you had to vote which is best. And I mean, he has some crazy snakes. You know, um, 15, 20 grand snakes, and the one that won was the lightning pied. You know, that was the most popular one he had, which is not that expensive. You know, they you know, they're a couple of grand. And I just think, you know, they just look amazing, don't they? You know, I love them.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of dreamsicles. I've been lucky to work with a group of you know, a really good group of dreamsicle staff. You know, so I think I've hatched 29 visual dreamsicles over the last sort of 2 3 years. So, and I've held back the very best ones. And those really good ones are just amazing, you know. So
Right.
that is, you know, I'm really, and this year I've got one here. You know, this year I hit these guys. So I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that?
Oh yeah. Gorgeous.
So that's an orange dream, yellow belly dreamsicle.
Oh
So
man, I want it. I need it.
so yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
Gorgeous snake, man.
Yeah.
Now I want to ask you this, man, because like I said, I feel like you're a legend in the game, man. You're making a incredible name for yourself. So we want to get that as much knowledge as we can from you while you're here. Give us some tips, you know, because there's some breeders in my chat. You know, give us tips on egg cutting. Like, when is the best time to cut an egg? You know, how did you learn how to cut eggs? And you know, give us just tips on egg cutting.
Okay. I mean, I don't cut eggs as a rule. Okay. So I mean, um, you know, when I going back a few years, you know, I'd be sort of whatever I put in the incubator, they would have they'd pip and they'd come out the eggs themselves. You know,
Right,
um, if they don't, you know, last year I had a clutch and you know, it got to something like day 60, and I thought, well, you know, I'm going to cut these now because they haven't come out, and they had shark jaw. Now, if they were all dead. Yeah. Now they hadn't been able to get out of the egg. Now, if I'd have cut the egg, they would have come out. You know, they would have hatched. Um, and I didn't. You know, and they didn't come out. But I mean, I know that snakes with shark jaw don't do well. You know, they don't thrive. And so I suppose for me, um, it's a bit like, you know, I just let them go. You know, I let nature take its course. Really, if they, I think 99%, if the snakes are fine, I mean that is really one isolated incident. Generally, they just come out, and I mean, you know, I have a customer who has bought snakes off me before, and he bred, you know, it was a male, and he bred it, and he sent me some photos the other day, a couple of weeks ago, and he said, I've cut these eggs, and I'm really excited because I think, you know, there's a white snake in there, and he said that means the male must have yellow belly because it's an ivory. And I said, you know, the snakes look really small, you know, in the egg, and I said, what day did you cut them? And he said he cut them on day 40,
whoa.
which to me is just insanity. You know, he said he got excited and he cut them. And I mean, I think, you know, I listened to Gav's podcast that he did with you, and he talked about patience. And I mean, I cut eggs, yeah, you know, if it's gone past a certain day, if I'm at all worried, I will cut them. So I've got, if people want to do that, that's fine. Me personally, I almost feel that there's more that can go wrong by cutting them than not cutting them. Okay.
Right.
You're kind of messing with them. But there are people that breed a lot more, produce a lot more eggs than me, that cut them and don't have any issues. But me personally, I find they just, they go in the incubator, and day 58 they start pipping. 2-3 days later they're all out the egg, and I just get them out, and there's no drama.
Right.
I mean, I think one of the things is that cutting eggs it's good for YouTube, isn't it? It's people like to see it. You've got a lot of excitement. Justin does it. I mean, he, those kind of people that are kind of more knowledgeable, they'll always wait till the at least one snake has pipped. So it's time for them to come out, really. So it's not a big deal. But people like to see it, and I know someone that I chat to who's just getting started, really, and they believe that you have to cut the eggs. The snakes won't come out of the eggs on their own. And I think that is unfortunate that people think that, that
right.
that they've grown up, or they've come up in this age where they see a lot of egg cutting videos, and they think that's what you have to do. Whereas in my experience, 99% of them will come out and pip naturally. And they come out and they've absorbed all their yolk, and you look in that egg and it's clear, it's clean. And to me, that just seems like the better way. But as I say, I do cut them if I feel I have to.
Right. Well, we appreciate that knowledge from you, man. So, it's better to just wait and just cut if you just absolutely have to. If it's like day 65 and they ain't out, then cut. Just be patient. That's the key, man, from Dorset Pythons. Just be patient.
Yeah, I think you have to have patience in this game. You're waiting 3 years, or sometimes 5 years to make a project come about. So waiting a few more days for them to come out of the eggs. But as I say, I don't judge. If people want to cut, then that's up to them.
Right. Now we got breeders in the chat, man. So can you give us tips on, like, what do you think is some of the best incubators out there?
Well, I mean, in the UK, I mean, there are people that make them. You can buy them. A lot of people make their own. Again, that is one area. I mean, there are a couple of people in the UK that make racks, but we don't have that infrastructure where you could necessarily go out and buy an off-the-shelf incubator. Like you've got Hotbox in the States. You've got that brand that Billy uses, which I can't remember now. But in the UK, even people like Gav, all the big breeders, they convert those fridges, like the chill cabinet that you get soft drinks in. That's what most people are using.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I made my own incubator, so.
Oh, that's knowledge right there. This man
Yeah.
breeding snakes and making incubators.
I mean, I think that, I mean, the racks that probably the most popular brand of rack in the UK is a Danish company. So they all come from Denmark. So, as I say, there's a couple of people making them, but we don't have the Freedom Breeders or the ARS. If people want those, the price is just probably triple what it is in the States. By the time you've shipped them over and paid the VAT and that kind of thing. So you have to have a bit of a DIY, a bit of a do-it-yourself mentality, I think, or just buy one off someone that's made one or something.
Right.
I mean, I quite like making stuff, so it doesn't bother me.
Man, I appreciate that knowledge. Now, I feel like you are a heavy hitter in the game and you have so much knowledge. I'm curious, are you self-taught or did you have a mentor when you was coming up?
No, I definitely had a mentor. I definitely think that is a good idea. You know, I think people should do that. I think if you find a breeder and you support them, you know, you pick someone you like what they're making, you know, buy their stuff, get a relationship with them, and that's gonna be worth its weight in gold. I definitely had a mentor. Um, so yeah, and I mean, I'm an information junkie. You know, I will really go deep. So I mean, I was lucky after I've been doing it about a year, and I watched Gav's videos, and I was, you know, you have to filter stuff out. You know, you have to think, okay, this is what's going to work for me. But you know, Justin came over to the UK, and I was lucky. I went out for dinner with him with some other guys, and you know, we were in the car, you know, me and him and another guy, and you know, I must have asked him 100 questions. You know, I thought this is my chance. You know, and I was obsessed with temperatures. You know, I asked him loads of stuff, and you know, he was really good. He answered all my questions, and yeah, I just think, you know, I mean, it's it doesn't stop. You know, I think a good breeder is always reflective. They're always reflecting on what they've done. Did this year go well? What could I have done better? That kind of thing, you know. And I mean, I did a podcast with Gav the other day, and I was, you know, really interested in some of the stuff he was saying, you know, and yeah, so it's definitely made me think about things. You know, I think I was lucky in the early days when I started. I had some big males, and they would breed, you know, 6 to 10 females, and then as you start moving up and you know, you're buying in males or you're making them, and you know, they're you know, you're trying to breed these small males, and you know, it's a bit of a wake up call. You know, they're not going to breed 6 females for you, not
Right,
successfully. You know, so yeah, I think that is one thing I'm trying to address now, is just to get more males in.
right.
Yeah, yeah. So
Well, Well, I appreciate you giving us that knowledge, man. And, that's what this show is about, just hanging with some of the dopest people in the hobby, getting knowledge from them and having fun along the way. So let's have some fun. I want to ask you a hot seat question, and you got to
okay,
think about this.
okay.
Now, you got to think about this. You got to give us a good answer. Now, a lot of these bigger breeders, we consider them to be the designer ball pipe. They designer ball python makers, almost like stores. So for me, I consider Justin Kabelka to be like Louis Vuitton. I consider Ozzy Boys to be like Gucci. Dorset Pythons. You're a heavy hitter in the game. What store should I consider you? Out there.
Hmm. Aston Martin.
I love that. I love that. Dorset Python, the Aston Martin of ball pythons. I love that, man. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Now, with you being in the market, you selling snakes. There are so many breeders out there. Do you feel like that the market is saturated, or there is still room to make money?
No, I mean 100%. There's room for people to come in. I mean, I was listening to Justin doing his leveling up video about scaling up, and I mean, he sells out. I mean, I think that especially in the States, it's this huge market. I think if you're for good things, for like quality stuff, I think that the market, is nowhere near being satisfied. Really, it's definitely not saturated. I think
Okay.
there's probably enough spiders out there, but the really good stuff, I think, yeah, there's definitely room.
Right. I
Yeah,
love that. I love that.
yeah.
Now, with you breeding, have you ever had, that male ball python and just wouldn't breed for you? He wasn't in the mood. And what are some of those tips that you can give when you have that male or that female snake that just doesn't want to breed for you? What's some stuff that you could do to kind of get them in the mood? Like slow
Mm.
music,
You're
dim the
very
light.
right. Yeah, that is probably the most frustrating thing I think with breeding snakes is when you have males like that. And it happens to everyone. And sometimes it's just time. I mean, I like to start pairing. Um, I've always paired in between Christmas and New Year. That's when I start. I'll probably start earlier this year. But you want that male to be ready then, and sometimes they just need a bit of time. And you're just kind of pulling your hair out. They're not doing anything. But it might be that extra couple of months more feeding, and then keep trying them, and then one day you look in and they're locked up, and that's a good feeling. But yeah, that is really hard when you've got males that aren't on game. It is one of the most frustrating things. And the only tip I have really is sometimes some of them just need a bit more size on them. This
Right.
Yeah, this again, it's one of those kind of things that seems to be like a common perception that people have, that they'll breed at 600 grams, 500, whatever, and some of them just won't. Some of them really don't kick in until they're a bit bigger. And I hear from people that when they're 2 years old, it's when they really get going. So for some people, some of them. So yeah, just that extra bit of time is needed sometimes. I mean,
Right.
the only way really to tackle that is to have backup males. To have sort of extra males that you can throw in there. Um, it's really easy. You might have a male and he's done some stuff for you, and maybe he was a het, and you've got these visuals now, and I'll sell him. But it's good to have some of those around. If you need them. So
Right.
uh,
Excellent answer. Now, Joe, from the audience, wants to ask a question. He says, how many times after you see a male not locking before moving on to another?
I mean, I would put a male in, and I think if they are going to go, most of the time, if they are going to lock, they'll be locked up within 24 hours. I mean, some much quicker than that. And if I look in and 24 hours, nothing's happening, I might leave them in for another day or so, and then I'll move them on, and I'll try them in again, with that female, um, at a later date, really.
Right.
I mean, it's rare that I would leave a male in with a female for more than sort of 2 or 3 days. Um, if that's answers the question.
Okay. Oh, yeah, we appreciate that. Now, with you, like I said, you deal with a lot of ball pythons. Give us tips for, stopping a ball python hunger strike.
Yeah, I mean, do something about it. I mean, in the past, if it's a female and it's not something crazy that I'm really desperate to breed, I'll just wait it out. And they can go 10 months, and then they just start again one day. But I think if you try and change things up, I mean, what I generally do, is if they go on a hunger strike and they've been feeding on rats, I will try them on ASFs, the African soft-furred rats. And I find generally that does the trick. It's rare now that I get a female like that, or um, if they've been on those, you can try something else. You can try a rat or try a mouse, or I have some of last year's babies in this room, and they're not bad size now. And then some of them not many, they just start getting fussy and they're not feeding. And I generally keep them on paper, like paper liners. So I will just put them on some cocoa, for a few days and then try them again. And that often does the trick as well. So, just changing something about the environment or, changing the food source. But it's much better to try that kind of thing than just to sit it out and wait.
All right. Well, y'all heard him, man. This is Dorset Pythons, Mr. Christian, giving us some knowledge. We appreciate you. We went a good hour. We got some knowledge. We had fun along the way. I appreciate you for coming on my podcast. I have one more question. Now, this is a hot seat question. When
Fire
you're
away.
pulling eggs, when you're in your reptile room and you're pulling eggs, how many times do you take bites during the day?
Never. I've never been bitten by a female pulling eggs. I think you got to be, hesitation kills, as they say. So, I just get them out. I just go in there. I go around the back of the head, just get the head, get the tail. And generally, I've got them off the eggs before they really know what's going on, before they have time to get annoyed. If you kind of, you're dithering and you're kind of waving your hands around in front of their face, I think they're going to get annoyed and they're going to bite you. But no, that, I find I often put videos on my Instagram of me taking them off the eggs, and you can see you just straight in and get them off, So yeah, just do it quickly.
Y'all heard it here first. This man is a legend. He said he don't take bites. He's like a ninja, in and out. Eggs gone. Before you blink, they gone. This was an amazing episode of Big Reptile Talk. Y'all make sure y'all check out Dorset Python's Instagram. Heavy hitter out there in UK selling some amazing snakes. We just had an amazing hour, sir. Don't go anywhere. We're getting ready to go backstage. I'm gonna thank you again backstage. Before I end my show, I give shout outs to everybody that was in the chat. Just make sure y'all go check them out. My Animal House, Iron Dog, J&G, John Feedley, Jennifer Allen, just tons of people. CSL, Lorne, Boom Exotics, the Reptile Feedings, Michaela's Farm, Gerald Taylor, Hector Garcia, Letka, Joe, Too Fast, Too Furious. Amazing people in the community. Reptile Feedings, Venom Wonderful, Desert Wolf Armory, Ball Python Love, Reese's Pythons, Cold Blooded Monsters, just everybody. Hey, Richie, I appreciate that. Amazing show. We're getting ready to play us out of here. We're gonna go backstage. This is Big Reptile Talk. Man, no, thank you. My mind is blown, man. I'm happy I got you on here. We out of here. We're gonna go and play us out.